Let's try and get Bruce back with us now. Bruce, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Let me just move on to my next question here, Bruce. So if Novak knew, which of course he was told by the government and the Australian Open organisers, that you're going to need to be vaccinated if you're going to get into Melbourne and compete at that competition, why then did he try and get through the back doors by getting a medical exemption that was not supported by the necessary paperwork? Why do you think a tennis star of his magnitude would want to try something like that?
The Australian Open is a big tournament for Novak Djokovic. He's won it so many times. He's the defending champion. It's his most successful Grand Slam. And it makes a huge impact on his earnings. It makes a huge impact for his sponsors and his world ranking. And, I actually feel quite sorry for him in the sense that he did apply for a medical exemption and it was granted. But obviously his agents and his team didn't do the right paperwork. And also, as Rafa Nadal said, we feel sorry for him, but he knew the rules. If you're not vaccinated, you can't play. That's been for months and months and months. And some people are anti the vaccine. And if you are, you're going to have to suffer these consequences.
Bruce, there's no Serena Williams. There is no Roger Federer. These are arguably the two greatest players of their generation, of course, among with the likes of Novak Djokovic and Rafa Nadal. But without those two, you essentially don't have such a great draw card. We don't know what Naomi Osaka is going to do, given the difficult 2021 she's had. We're not really sure what Ashley Barty, who is the home girl, is going to do. So essentially, Novak Djokovic was the man that was going to pull all the money in for the Australian Open. So would you say that that is one of the reasons why Craig Tiley was trying to make sure that he comes?
Well, Craig didn't tell me that, but I know that that's one of the big reasons, because it is the biggest sporting event in Australasia. The Victorian government needed big time for their budgets. The Australian Open needed Djokovic because it draws in the TV audiences as well as all the crowds, as you said. And I think that there's an underlying factor, and you're quite right. But, the Australian Open has always produced some incredible champions. We've seen some new faces come through. Rafa Nadal, I don't think, has got a chance to win because he's just come out of injury. But if Djokovic doesn't win the appeal on Monday and is going back to Serbia, and the tournament that is wide open, and people like Stefanos Tsitsipas and Medvedev are all going to be smiling because there could be a new Australian Open champion.
And who do you think from both genders, let me put your head on the block here, Bruce, who do you think from both genders at the moment, given their form from 2021 into 2022, has the opportunity, in the absence of Novak Djokovic, to win this competition?
I think Medvedev is always a danger man. He loves the hard courts. We've seen him at great runs on the hard courts, and I think he's really, really a strong contender. And in the women's side, I've got to give it to Ashley Barty. It's just if she can handle the home pressure and if she can really go in there and play her normal game. Also loves the hard courts, has done very well on the hard courts. Chip and charge a type of game, upsets the rhythm of most players. I've got to give it to those two.
Bruce, thank you so much for joining us here on eNCA and for giving us, of course, your expert knowledge. That is Bruce Davidson, who is a tennis expert, of course, just shedding more light on what it is that Craig Tiley, the Australian Open tournament organizer, is thinking at the moment as he deals with the controversy of Novak Djokovic potentially being deported from Australia for not having the necessary paperwork to back up his medical exemption to try and compete at the competition at which he's trying to chase his record 10th title. That is